You're listening to the Adventure Sports Podcast. We talk with adventurers from around the globe to bring you the inspiration and motivation you need to get started in the outdoors or to keep you moving if you're already there. Now here's your host, Kurt Linville.
Hi friends, thanks for joining the Adventure Sports Podcast today. I have a couple here who, this is going to be a kind of a fun backstory or behind the scenes story is the way that I'm looking at this. Alex Maier and Amy Robin, they have a company called wildernessmindset.com, and they are adventurous people, adventurers in their own right. But what grew out of their love for adventure was becoming outdoor filmmakers. And as outdoor filmmakers, they have filmed a lot of other people's big adventures, and we're going to be talking about a couple of those today. One being the setting of the Mississippi Speed Record. And the Mississippi Speed Record was set by a team of people, and we had Scott Miller on the Adventure Sports Podcast. Mason did that interview. It was a while back in 2023, and if you would like to hear it, that's episode 970. We also revisited that episode last year, and that was episode 1077. But Alex and Amy were the film crew that documented what Scott was doing with his team to set the Mississippi Speed Record. So we're going to be talking about that today. Alex and Amy, thank you for coming to be on the Adventure Sports Podcast.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite subjects. It's when people do what they love and it grows into a business and a lifestyle and something sustainable that they can go further with in life. It's a beautiful story when that works out for people. A lot of people attempt it and you know, they have limited success or maybe a moderate success, but it is a challenge to do what you love and to be able to make a go of it. Wilderness Mindset, which, by the way, is your URL, so it's wildernessmindset.com if people want to see your website, which is super cool. Tell me about that. How did that grow out of your love for adventure?
Yeah, it can be a long story or it can be a short story.
Yeah, I actually chuckle a little bit when you said sustainable.
Yeah.
That's something that I think we're sort of just figuring out, but it's been a long road to get to this point, and it wasn't sustainable for a long time.
That's the way it usually is, right? Yeah. On your website, you have a category here called documentaries up in the menu, and there are like 11 or 12 documentaries listed here. Several of them are done and they're available. Several of them are future that you're working on, but the point is the volume of documentaries that you have, that's pretty impressive. You've been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm, we have been. Do you want to start with our kind of origin story coming together?
Sure.
Maybe?
Yeah. I grew up here in Montana. We live in Montana, and I did the normal Montana lifestyle, the hiking, the fishing, the hunting, the outdoors, backpacking kind of thing. And then I grew a passion for photography throughout my years of growing up, so I always brought my camera with me. And then Alex came from the UP. He went to
Michigan University.
I'll let you tell your story.
Yeah, I kind of knew that I wanted to make movies for a living. I didn't quite know exactly how or what that would look like, but I went to school for it. I got a bachelor's degree in digital cinema, and eventually I decided that I didn't want to live in the Midwest anymore. I wanted to come out to be by the mountains. So that's why I moved out to Montana, and within like a few days of moving out to Montana, that's when I met Amy, and we sort of just hit it off right away, and we had a lot of things in common. We both really loved being outside, hiking in the outdoors, and we both really enjoyed photography. So we kind of naturally took off from there. And then why don't you tell how that grew into the CDT?
Like, I actually want to throw out there that our first date was going backpacking in the middle of winter with our cameras. So we did a winter camping trip. That was our first date.
Good way to get to know somebody.
I think so. I would say jumping right into the fire, but no, that's something else. It's jumping right into the ice.
Yeah. Like, our boots were frozen in the morning. It was
right.
It was pure winter out. Anyway, so we dated for a while, and then he asked me to be his girlfriend the day after Valentine's Day.
Left you hanging there.
Yeah.
That's how I knew
Alex,
I wanted it.
You want to defend yourself, or?
I think Valentine's Day made me realize that I did want to date her, but it took me the day until I realized it.
Well, that's fair.
But anyway,
that's fair.
yeah, we dated for a few months, and Alex, with his background of videography, going to school for it and all of that stuff, and he also did a whole bunch of through hikes himself and filmed them and made documentaries. One of his most famous documentaries from that era is Figure It Out on the Haydock Trail. It has more than 1 million views. It has a lot of views.
Nice.
Yeah, so he has a background in that, and he would always tell me about like all the benefits he would get from being out in the middle of nowhere, 100 miles away from any civilization, and just like a bunch of benefits getting that from that, like mental health and physical health, obviously, well, sometimes. And so my background, I've been through a lot of trauma in my life, and at that point of me meeting Alex, I was kind of in a good point in my life, but I wanted to explore healing even more. So just one day after like maybe 3 or 4 months of dating, I was like, I texted him because I was really nervous to ask, but I texted him one day eventually, and I was like, hey, what do you think about doing a thru hike and making a documentary about mental health? And
Nice.
I expected him to be like, let's talk about it, or a big fat no, or, but he instantly texted back, yeah, let's do it. And I was dumbfounded, honestly. I was like, this girl with all of this mental history, like, you want to go out with me in the middle of nowhere? Okay. But
Well, nature does heal. Nature is so healing.
absolutely.
And so there are good ways and bad ways, I'm sure, to approach this, but it is so common for people to go on a long trail to kind of sort things out. And it will make you sort things out. Maybe not in the way you expected, but it will make you sort things out. So how did that go for you?
Yeah, funny that you say that sometimes it's not what you expect it to sort things out, but it will sort things out. It was a 6-month hike on the CDT, and we brought all of our camera equipment, so our packs were filled with cameras and heavy stuff, and then your normal hiking gear. So it was super heavy all the time. But we went in there with the thought of filming a mental health documentary, hiking, and it turned into more of like an ego hiking. We're doing the CDT kind of trip, and with that, there was a lot of downs. There were a lot of ups, but there was a lot of downs too, and I think it made both of us realize where we're at in life, and we weren't actually as good as we thought or as healed as we thought we were. So it was an interesting adventure. We actually filmed it, and we have YouTube episodes out about that, and we're going to make a documentary about it. We're still in the process of actually healing from that trip, so we haven't made the documentary quite yet, but...
Yeah, we went out there with the intention of healing, and what we ended up doing was we pushed ourselves too hard. We were too focused on hiking and trying to finish the trail that we sort of lost sight of what our goals were, I think. A big part of that was me I brought this like thru hiker mentality because I had done thru hikes before, and so like I sort of like had this idea about the way things should go, but I had never hiked with my girlfriend before. So when you're hiking with your girlfriend and you're having different intentions, that was new for me, and I don't think I quite understood how different things would be on this trip. So I was kind of trying to stick to what I knew instead of taking a step back and sort of seeing things for what they were. And so because of that, we ended up getting about 2/3 of the way done with the CDT. We got off the trail in Yellowstone, and we basically filmed a beginning and a middle to this movie, but because things didn't really go as expected, we never finished the movie. We never filmed an ending, and we're still kind of looking for that ending. We're still kind of trying to process what happened, even though that was in 2021. Like, it's been a long time already, but it's taken a long time to kind of think about what happened out there and how it affected us and what we learned about ourselves, and there's just a lot of processing that's been happening since that hike. So
I can imagine. That's amazing. The CDT, Continental Divide Trail, that's the big one. So you didn't choose an easy, shorter trail.
Yeah.
You went for the glory.
It might have been a good idea, but also at the same time, like, both of us, we like our solitude. We really want to be in nature for the purpose of being in nature. We don't want to be around a bunch of people, and that was kind of the main reason we picked the CDT, is because it's not as popular. There's not thousands of people hiking it. So we were looking for that solitude, and we're both pretty comfortable with like off-trail hiking and navigating and rugged terrain and all that kind of stuff. But I think a shorter trail probably would have been a little bit better.
It probably would have suited the purpose much better.
Well, I want to dive in just a little bit more into this for people that have never done a big hike. You know what to expect, or everybody encounters the trail differently, so I'm not going to try to, tell people it'll be like this. But many people find that the things they use to distract themselves from doing the hard internal work are no longer available on the trail.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about the quiet, the effort, even nature itself. It's hard, it's tiring, and the distractions are gone, which in my experience can cause a lot of things to bubble to the surface. Things that you thought you had dealt with, you find out, oh, that still hurts.
Yep.
That's still raw, and that can happen. But in a way, that's where the healing comes from. One of my favorite quotes, and I did even research who said it first, and I couldn't find who said it first, so I can't even attribute it to anyone. But the quote is that we're strongest where we're broken, because that's how the light gets in.
Interesting. I've never
like
heard
that.
that, but I like that.
Yeah.
And I think that what can happen on any big adventure where, it's a long period of time and you're pulled away from all your distractions is that you're going to be facing some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I could see that happening easily, especially on a trail like the CDT.
Yeah, for
I like to say, like, if you're in the middle of nowhere, it's going to be a mirror for you. Like, you can't hide from everything with your TV or your phone or your music or any of that. You can't hide from it, and it's going to just, you can't blame anybody either because you got nobody around you. So it's just mirroring right back at you, and you just can't hide from it. So you gotta, either you're gonna deal with it or you're gonna get off the trail, and one way or the other, you're gonna figure some stuff out.
Well, I had an old boss who used to say all the time, and I loved it. He would say, "It doesn't matter where you go, there you are."
Yeah.
And it was like, you can't run from yourself, so don't try. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I'm sure you learned so much from that. And what impresses me is that here we are 5 years later, you're still together. You're still doing projects. I mean, you must have done something right.
Yeah. We certainly had a lot of downs.
Yeah, I will say, I think it did break us a couple times. Like, we broke up briefly.
Yeah.
Real briefly a couple times. But I think the important thing was that we both wanted the same things. We both had the same intentions. We both wanted to see the same things come out of this. We forgot about those things in the moment a lot of the time, but we were always able to kind of come back and say, like, we still have these goals. We still have these, like, directions that we want to go in life, and we want to do it together. And we always came back to that. And that's why we're married with a kid now.
Yeah, that's super cool. We're going to get to the Mississippi here. I'm looking over my shoulder. Crooked Old River is the name of the book. And the reason I bring it up, just a second, I had the honor of interviewing Trapper Haskins about his experience on the Mississippi. They weren't setting any records, but here's what's familiar or similar. He and his gal decided that they would paddle down the Mississippi, and they didn't finish. And their story was left partially untold. They stayed together, of course. They lived a lot of life. But they did go back eventually and finish, and that's like the last couple of chapters of the book.
Oh, that's cool.
So there was full closure. Do you think that the two of you may do that?
That's so interesting.
It's how long was the gap between them going back?
Years. Years and years and years.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility of us returning. And it might be years and years because we now have an infant.
Yep.
But once we got off the CDT, the next summer I got back on the CDT by myself. And I did that because when we were on the CDT together, we were just trying to get our miles in. Like, we were just normal CDT hikers trying to get the miles in, trying to get to your town, trying to get to the next miles, like trying to finish the trail. And that was just not the goal. The goal was to look within. And so when I went back on the trail, I specifically tried to do like 5 miles a day, which is extremely hard. Like, not just to like sit around and you only do 5 miles and you sit around and you have nothing to do, but you've got to think about your food caches, your water, when your next town is. Like, that is extremely difficult to do. But I did that for a purpose. I did that so I can look within and so that I can slow down and that I can process these things. And I did about 500 miles by myself. So I didn't finish the trail, but I did do an extra like 500. And then I had to get off because we were filming another adventure on the Mississippi. Actually, it's called Graybeard, the Man, the Myth, the Mississippi. So that's actually another Guinness World Record of the oldest man to paddle the full length of the Mississippi. But
Wow.
I got off the trail to do that. But that was my intention of getting back on the trail. And I do feel like I was successful, but there's still so much more to process. I was just
That's fascinating. Well, I want to first just applaud you two for going for it and for sticking with it and for growing through it. I mean, that's a huge part of what adventure is about. It really is. And I think that people who accept the call to the adventure and do the hard thing, well, obviously, if it's a hard thing, it's not easy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's valuable. So looking back on it, what are some of the valuable aspects of it that you can see in your life today?
Man.
Yeah.
I think, just for us as a couple, I think it was extremely valuable for us to do something very hard together and to do something where we were both really struggling, like mentally, physically, kind of all of it together, and we struggled together. And there were a lot of times where we didn't know if it was going to work out. It felt like we were failing. It felt like this isn't going to happen. And there was so much like doubt and unknown and uncertainty involved in all of that. But we made it through and we're together, and like that instills a lot of confidence in our relationship, I think. So like us as a couple, we feel really solid these days, even though, we still have issues, we still argue over things and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like we trust each other on a way deeper level than a lot of people might if they haven't been through hard times.
Yeah, we like to say that like we had each of our foundations when we went onto that trail, and we both broke our foundations, like shattered them.
Wow.
And we built a foundation together, which I think is the most rewarding thing out of that whole thing is we built this foundation together, like Alex said, of trust and love and understanding and really like understanding where each other's coming from as well. We both have very different backgrounds, and which is probably why it was so hard for both of us to do that CDT together, but
Yeah, it was kind of hard for us to understand where each other was coming from, but
yeah.
But because of that, we sort of do now, I think. And then
I'm going to throw this. I got to throw this out there because it just sounds so applicable. I heard this years ago. Jordan Peterson was doing a question and answer session, and a young couple asked, "What do you recommend for how to build a really good marriage? We just got married recently, and we want to make sure we do it right." And his answer really surprised me, but I agree with it. He said, "You need to fight more, not unfairly, not hatefully, not hurtfully, but wrestle the issues, because once you agree to disagree, or you've come to some understanding, or you find an agreement that brings you together as a couple," and it sounds like that's exactly what you did.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny you bring him up because I was listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson around that time.
Well, he has a lot of... He kind of got some bad press going for a while there. People misinterpreted what he was saying and decided that... But here's the crazy thing. That's what gave him the following that made him more effective. So it's kind of wild.
Yep.
But for those of you who have never looked into Jordan Peterson, he has a lot of wisdom to share. You can take what you like and not take what you don't like.
Yep.
But what the media did to him for a while there was first completely false and unfair, and frankly, it was both. It was libel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they wanted to take him out.
Yeah, they wanted to take him out, and they tried to take him out, and they did it by lying about him, and that's against the law in the United States. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. Anyway, moving on. I love the idea that the two of you went and did the hard thing together and went through all of that. And I can imagine how your marriage is so much better off now.
Yeah, and mind you, we were dating 5-6 months in. Like, we thought we knew each other. We didn't. But yeah, wow. It definitely, like, everything happens for a reason, in my belief. And it definitely happened for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like, we didn't cross paths uncoincidentally. We crossed paths like for a reason. And I think us like doing that and the documentaries we do, like we want to spread, I don't want to be all sappy about it, but we just want to spread good vibes basically. And then and how nature helps with that. And with that, there are struggles in life and there's conflict in life, but those aren't bad things. Those are things to grow from. And that's kind of the message that we like to spread.
Yeah, we don't want it to be like feel-good stuff. We want it to be deep, meaningful, because those are the things that lead to like lasting happiness, not just like short-term things that make you feel good.
Yeah. And we also
Yes.
don't like to do like reality TV where it's all drama and conflict. Like, we don't want to spread that message either.
Well, Amy, can I rewind a little bit? You went back to the trail and you tried to do 5 miles a day. Now, when people that don't know about through hiking, they may not know what that means. What it means is it takes way too long to get between your resupplies, and you're dealing with way more weather, and it's a short distance to try to do a through hike. That's the point, right? Yeah. But I can see how it could be meaningful. But I have never heard anyone say I did a through hike and I did it at 5 miles a day.
Yeah.
So can you dive into that a little bit more? What was it like?
Say what like the normal miles are for a CDT hiker.
Yeah, I mean, the minimal amount of miles that most through hikers want to do a day is around 15. And then some people go up to 30, 35 miles a day. And so if you're even going to the minimum amount of what a through hiker wants to do, which is 15, I did a third of that.
Yeah.
And so that's just, you've got to carry more food. You have to figure out where your water is. And like sometimes maybe I did 6 miles because I had to get to a water source because you got to drink your water, you know?
Right.
And it's just, I feel like in some ways it is way more extreme. And it doesn't sound like it because you're doing less. But because you're doing less, it's more. And it's just, it's more profound. It's more exhausting, honestly. And it's just, it's more meaningful. Yeah.
It's more time to be in your head, too.
Yeah. More time to be in your head.
Like, in civilization, we distract ourselves with our phone and TVs and technology and all that stuff. Even on a through hike, you can kind of distract yourself by walking. But if you can't even walk all day, then that's like another distraction that you don't have.
Yeah. And I did bring my dog with me. Like, it wasn't just me, but my dog goes everywhere with me. So, but yeah, we just got to sit and think about life and figure things out and even reflect on our previous CDT hike. And just figure out like where I played wrong in that and where I can grow from that and all of that stuff on top of filming because I did still film it. And yeah, it was more meaningful for me. That's for sure.
You've got to finish that project, guys. I think so much good could come from that for other people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, but it's about connecting with nature, but it's about the healing that nature provides.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about, I mean, sometimes the weather and the miles, the exhaustion and the effort, sometimes that's not the big thing. The big thing is, you know, what's between our ears, what's in our heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know?
Journey going on inside.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest issues that I had was what people thought of me, like people's opinions of myself. And that's one of the big struggles that I had on the CDT with Alex because I'm not as strong of a hiker as Alex is, and some people kind of attacked that through YouTube because we were throwing out YouTube episodes, and that for me was really difficult, and that kind of was what broke me. And so going out there with the intention of doing 5 miles, like I had a purpose, I understood what that purpose was, and I could stand my own ground and explain what I was doing, and it made me more confident, even if they didn't like it.
It's just fascinating to me. And actually, you got my wheel spinning in my head. I'm like, ooh, I wonder if I should try a through hike with short distances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give it a go.
Yeah.
And
make it a section hike. Like, take off a couple weeks here and there.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
And people have these serious through hikers. They have this thought of what a through hike is. And, you know, a through hike is what you make it. It's hike your own hike. It doesn't have to be thousands of miles. It can be 30 miles, you know. But it's just like going from point A to point B and figuring out some things out.
Yes. Well, that's super cool. Do you have a name for that documentary?
It's called Mind, Body, Soul. The
nature of well-being.
The nature of well-being. We do have YouTube episodes out, like I said, and I think it's called Mind, Body, Soul on the CDT. So you can go back and watch our journey, but...
And the idea with the episodes was that we wanted to film the hike and put out the episodes about the hike, but the documentary was going to be so much bigger than that. Because we actually, after we finished the CDT, we traveled around the country and interviewed a whole bunch of other adventurers. And these are people that are kind of well known in the adventure space, or they've accomplished some insane number of like 200,000 miles of human powered travel and stuff like that. So we found those people and we interviewed them. about these topics, like how have you learned about yourself by being in nature, and what has it given you, and all that kind of stuff. So the documentary was going to be a combination of our hike on the CDT plus all these other interviews, and kind of trying to dive a lot deeper into just how nature affects people.
I love it. Well, make sure you finish that one eventually, and let us know when it's done. And if you want to connect with some of these documentaries and some of the work they're doing, again, the website is wildernessmindset.com. So let's talk about the Mississippi Project with Scott. So tell you what, Alex, just tell us what the goal was and kind of the logistics. What was this about?
I never know where to start these stories. Well, so we filmed, like Amy said, we filmed Graybeard, Dale Sanders. We filmed the oldest man to paddle the entire Mississippi River. We made a documentary about that. And then the Mississippi Speed Record guys were staying at Dale's house because he's also a river angel. And Dale introduced them to us. So they reached out to us and asked us if we wanted to make a documentary about them. So we were like, that sounds sweet. So we're going down the Mississippi again to film the fastest trip down the Mississippi River. And that was purely the goal. It was just a team of 4 guys in a 4-person canoe and a large support crew that supported them going down the river in RVs and always feeding them food and supplies and all that stuff. So this is like a very supported event because you can't break the record unsupported anymore because it's that fast.
Yeah.
So I guess there's 2. There's like an unsupported and a supported record, but this is very much a supported record. And our goal was just to capture as much of that as we could. And it's a 24/7 effort. Once they launch, they try to keep that canoe moving until they hit the Gulf of Mexico. And they did for the most part. I mean, they took 2 or 3 hour breaks here and there, but for the most part, that canoe was paddling down the Mississippi River for 24 hours for just under 17 days. And we just did our best to keep up.
I think I remember listening to Mason's episode on this, talking with the guys about how they would take turns sleeping in the bottom of the canoe.
Yeah, it got really gross
stuff
in there.
It was not the best smelling.
They call it human soup.
Oh, that's kind of nasty.
Yeah.
So how fast was it?
16 hours or 16 days, 20 hours and 16 minutes.
Yep.
Was the official record.
And what do you know where they started and where they finished? The official start and finish for this?
Lake Itasca is the headwaters in Minnesota, and then the official finish is called Mile 0, and it's kind of just an arbitrary point, but it's where they start counting the miles for the Mississippi River, and that's for barge traffic, so the barges kind of know what mile they're at as they go up the river.
Yeah.
But Mile 0 is technically where the record ends, and it's still a few miles actually from being in the Gulf, but that's technically where the record ends, and it's about 2,300 miles.
Amazing. And so you did a documentary for that, and let's see, it is the Mississippi Speed Record. That's the name of the documentary?
Yeah, Mississippi Speed Record and Epic Adventure.
Epic Adventure. And where can people find that?
The best place to find it right now is probably on Amazon Prime. But if you go on our website and find the documentary on our website, there's a whole list of places that you can watch it.
Yeah, so Amazon Prime has like the film itself, which is fantastic. But if you go to our website, and there's a platform we use called Gumroad, and that if you purchase it on Gumroad, you get the full length movie. You also get
all the bonus features.
Yeah, and the festival cut, which is like a 45-minute feature of it, and then you get like behind the scenes and scenery and just all like what your DVD would come with back in the day when we all used DVDs.
Yeah, and we do have it on DVD too.
Oh, that's awesome. So why should people watch this?
That's a good question. Obviously, just if you want to see an epic adventure down the Mississippi, like it's pretty cool, and it's really intense, and just the things that those guys saw and went through on their journey down the river was like it was a lot. But then also beneath that, and kind of like our theme at Wilderness Mindset, is all this stuff that we've been talking about. Like we explored all these same themes with the paddlers and with the support crew and everybody that we interviewed. Is like, what are you kind of getting out of this trip? What is motivating you to do something so hard? What are the benefits that you're finding by like really pushing yourself in nature, kind of finding out where your limits are and then pushing past your limits, and then you gain more confidence in yourself and all that kind of stuff. So there's always, with all of our films, there's always kind of like a deeper philosophical message coming through as well.
We've got
There has to be.
We've gotten a lot of feedback of, like, I laughed and I cried during the film.
Nice.
And that is what you want in a film, right? You want to laugh and you want emotion. So
Yep.
I think we nailed it.
Oh, that's fun. And you're working on another river race. Is it with the same people?
Yeah, most of the same people. The paddlers are different except for one,
Scott
two.
Miller.
Yeah. So Scott Miller he's like the leader of the team. He was the leader on the Mississippi and he's the leader on the Missouri too. He's a paddler.
He's the one that comes up with these crazy ideas.
Yeah. And then there's one guy, he basically designed and customized their boat on the Mississippi. He was not a paddler, but he is a paddler now. His name is also Scott Duffus. And then two new guys, completely new to the team. They're new paddlers too. They're named Kurt and Ladia.
And what is this project for? What river?
The Missouri River. So this one's nice because it's actually kind of close to our home. We live in Montana. Three Forks, Montana is like the headwaters of the Missouri River, and that's only a couple hours away. So we'll be starting there and then going all the way to where the Missouri flows into the Mississippi at St. Louis.
Beautiful. I don't know how many people know this, but if they had named the Missouri the Mississippi, where that confluence is, then the Mississippi would be the longest river in the world. It's longer than the Nile, if you count the Missouri as the main river instead of the Mississippi. But for whatever reason, they didn't.
Oh, I see.
And so, but the Missouri is a very long river. Do you know how long this effort's going to be?
It's ironic because the Mississippi official length is 2,340 miles. The Missouri's length is 2,341 miles.
There you go.
So they've got
Take
a
the
whole other
Mississippi
mile
and
to
double
do.
it. Dang. So when does this start?
June 20th, we're going out there. They're launching a few days after that.
Yeah, we'll start filming June 20th, and they'll launch on June 23rd around 12-ish o'clock at the headwaters of the Missouri, so in Trident or Three Forks, Montana. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And I guess we should mention that the Lewis and Clark expedition used the Missouri, right?
Yep.
So this is a part of Americana
Yeah.
sure.
history here. That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
So when you do a documentary, how long does it take to do all the post-production work and actually get it packaged and ready to launch?
That's funny that you asked that, because
Depends what the deadline is.
yeah. Typically, it would take somebody, or they would like to take like a year or two to do the post-production, the editing, the sound mixing, the color grading, the sound effects, like all of that goes into that. But we tend to give ourselves deadlines that are not that. Like with Graybeard, I think we gave ourselves 30 days or something like
It was
that.
3 months.
3 months, that's right. Three.
Yeah.
There was a 3 in there. 3
Yeah.
months.
Because we were trying to have it ready for a film festival we
Yeah.
wanted to be in.
And then the Mississippi, I think we kind of did the same thing.
We had more time, but it got real intense
Yeah.
when we were trying to finish that movie up again.
Because I guess that brings you into another layer of, like, we did have more time, but during that more time, we ran out of money. Like, we had no money. Like, credit cards were maxed out, rent was due. Like, we had no money. So we had to switch gears real fast and figure out how are we going to keep a roof over our heads rather than how are we going to finish this documentary. And we came out the other end, obviously. We have our roof over our head and the film is done. But it ended up giving us like that 3 months of editing.
Wow. You know, there's a principle that there's a lot of truth to it. Any project will expand to fill the time that you give to it. And if you set a tighter deadline, you tend to get more done more quickly. At some point, the quality is going to suffer, right? But sometimes having a deadline actually increases the creativity even.
Yeah.
Because there's a sense of urgency, and I got to figure this out, and boom, there it is, you know?
The opposite end of that, we work with some people who there is no deadline for their projects, and it's like 4 years later, they're still trying to make changes to these things.
Yep.
At
Well,
some
you
point,
get
just
this
gotta calm down.
perfectionism going, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I have that same problem. I promised the Adventure Sports Podcast family here that I would get a video out from my Kilimanjaro climb in January. I don't have a deadline, clearly, and I feel like I don't have time to get on it, and I still intend to do it, but I've gone so far as to try to come up with thematically what's the focus going to be, and what are the segments that need to be included, and I'm just barely scratching the surface of that. I have no idea how hard it is to get kind of a feature-length film together? No clue.
Yeah. And I think we sort of came at this with a little bit of that experience to start with. That's that's how I sort of jumped into editing films. It's like my first big project was a feature-length film that was shot over the course of 10 years, and there was like a ton of footage that wasn't organized in any way. And so I had to like learn how to organize all that and start putting stuff together. And yeah, I got a lot of experience kind of threading those like storylines together over longer periods of time. So that's kind of where we came at this from. But it's a lot to consider. That's for sure.
So what is your dream? What do you want this business to become? The Wilderness Mindset.
I don't know if anyone's ever asked us that before.
Yeah.
I think we should both answer.
Yeah.
I think my dream is like we're doing it already, but I just want to see it happen on a bigger and more successful scale, really. But we want to make outdoor films that inspire people to go outside and find their own adventures, with the intention of doing that deeper personal work, looking within, and doing that hard work. Sometimes like admitting to yourself about things that you might not want to admit about, and just learning more about yourself in an honest way so that you can take that back into your regular life and just kind of be a better, happier person. I think that's what we want our films to do, and we want them to reach a larger audience in the long run.
Well, I love the name of your company, Wilderness Mindset, but what is a wilderness mindset to you?
Oh, you answer that one and I'll finish.
No, you go ahead.
All right. So our motto at Wilderness Mindset is, when you go into the wilderness, you take a look within. So it's really, we see wilderness as a tool basically for getting to learn about yourself and getting the opportunity to work on yourself. Yeah, I think that's it actually.
And I would like to go back to that question of like, what do I want out of this business is I want to inspire people to go out into nature, whether that's even going to the park. You know, like your nature could be different than my nature, but just going out, getting away from all the technology because it is overtaking our world. Not that it's bad, but we're leaving this, what our bodies were meant to do, like be out in the wilderness and do hard things like that and just take in nature and let your mind calm down. So I just want to inspire people to go out and find their own meaningfulness in nature, on top of getting good gigs that pay us well so we can keep doing it. Of course.
There's another aspect to this I want to highlight, and you know the answer to this, I don't really, but on the Kili trip, I tried to film stuff with a little bitty light GoPro, right? But there was a professional photographer there who carried all the gear and was doing the heavy lifting of filming in that kind of a setting. And you already mentioned that, the packs get heavy when you're trying to make a documentary on the CDT. Mm-hmm. But I guess my question is, let me just frame it this way. I used to watch the old Warren Miller films of the skiing.
Yeah.
And this person would be just killing it on the slopes, but they didn't have drones back then. And so when you're watching a close-up of somebody, especially from the side, who's just amazing, you got to remember that the photographer is skiing while filming next to this amazing person. So it always just blew my mind. We're not seeing what the photographer's doing. That's the hard thing and the amazing thing. So talk to us a little bit about that. How hard is it to be able to do the filmmaking at the same time?
I've got a funny anecdote about that, I guess. On the Figure It Out on the Hayduke Trail documentary, that was just me. That was before I even met Amy, or before Wilderness Mindset was even a thing. I hiked that trail and filmed the hike myself, and some of the comments, or one of the comments that I got was like, it was mad at me because they said he didn't even give credit to the camera guy who was following him the whole time. So that made me feel pretty good.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, you got to do the adventure, and then on top of that, you got to carry all the extra gear and take the time to use it. So it's an extra challenge, that's for sure. But at least with that hike, it actually gave me like something a little more to do, something a little more to occupy my mind and to kind of think about. So in some way, it was a distraction, but in other ways, it was kind of a creative outlet for me to think about while I was out there. I wasn't just hiking, I was also making something, and that was fun.
I've talked to people about this very thing, even on the show, so this is not the first time I've asked this question. I personally find that if I just snap a picture of something and walk away, I cheat myself out of the experience to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to pause and absorb it without the distraction of the electronics. But then I also find that when I am filming something, you engage on a level where you're trying to say, well, how can I film this in a way that really shows it better, or that people will connect to, or am I capturing this in the right way? That's a distraction, but it makes you encounter the experience on a different level. So for you, does filming enhance the experience or take away from it? What would you recommend for people who are like amateurs and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with my GoPro? Right?
Yeah, I think I would say just be intentional about it. Like, filming or taking pictures doesn't have to be a bad thing or a good thing. It's like, why are you taking this picture? And just ask yourself that question. And if you don't have an answer, then maybe you don't need to take the picture.
And as you said, like, it changes your aspect or your perspective of your hike or your adventure. Because at times it certainly does take away from your adventure. You've got to think about setting your camera up, or you got to think about what's the next shot depending on what adventure you're doing and shooting. So, like, it could definitely take away. But also, like, once we get home and we can look at that footage, like, you get right back onto the trail or right back onto the river or wherever your adventure was. Like, you get to go right back to where that was and relive it. So it does take away, but it also adds to it as well. And it's an interesting thing.
And I'll just share one thing that we experienced recently. We were out on the Beartooth Highway and we set up to shoot some time lapses. So we were at this like overlook and we were hanging out there for like an hour. And this is a pretty popular spot, so people are always driving through. And it was just like one after another. The car parks, person gets out, they take a picture, they get back in the car.
Yeah.
It just happened over and over and over. And like, I don't know if they even saw it with their eyes very much, but
right.
They snapped a picture on their phone and leave.
There's an awful lot of post it and roast it that goes on these days.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's the best approach, you know? Take a picture, you post it somewhere, and then you forget it ever happened. I don't think that's what photography was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
And I have that problem. I'll take a bunch of pictures and leave them on my phone, and then 2 years later, I see them, and I'm like, why did I do that? I didn't use it for anything. All I did was try to capture a moment and then quickly forget it.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with capturing it, but I think it's good to kind of take it in for yourself a little bit.
Yeah, one of our specialties is time lapses. So you just take 100 to 600 to 1,000 photos and then you make it into a video, which is what a time lapse is. But doing that makes us sit there for a while. Like, you have to sit there and you have to take it in. Like, so that's kind of a bonus of filming, because you got to sit there and you got to wait and you got to take it in.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Well, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are thinking, man, I would like to get into that, but I don't have any idea what it takes. And it sounds like it's a bit of a heavy lift.
Yeah.
You have any advice for people?
It's totally like what you make out of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want to get into it, start with your phone and be intentional about it, and like really like try to see the picture that you're taking before you take it. So like really kind of look around and decide how you want this to look, and then take the picture. And then go home and like try to do something with it. I think that's kind of important too, because a lot of people.
I think that's the misstep.
Yeah, like they just have SD cards full of pictures that just sit there and nothing ever happens with them. Like,
and
maybe
I'm
make
guilty.
a collection or an album of similar photos that all kind of have the same theme, or like just work with them. I think that's what, like, when I was getting into nature photography, that's what was fun for me, and that's what I thought sort of like brought me to the next level, or made me get into it more. Was I would go on a hike, take a bunch of pictures, and then I would go home and edit for a few hours, and that process was really fun for me too.
I have to bring this up just because I'm curious what your thoughts are. Do you know who Adam Riemann is?
I think so.
So he's done motorcycle filming for a career, essentially, and he has a YouTube channel, and he's doing pretty well with it. From Australia, he's an excellent motorcycle rider. But the funny thing is, in a lot of his videos, you see him passing everybody. If he's on some sort of a rally or something, he's just flying by everyone. And at one point I thought, yeah, he's just showing off. Why does he always have to pass everybody? And then it occurred to me, because he's filming everybody. So he does the extra work. But the amazing thing is you'll see his own point of view camera, and he has a voiceover going, and then sometimes you hear what they're talking about on the motorcycles, and then all of a sudden you'll see the viewpoint where the motorcycles are going by, a still point on the trail. And then the point of view starts up again. And I'm like, wait a minute. How many times did he have to ride that section of trail to get all those shots?
Yeah.
Right? And you realize that he's setting up cameras on tripods. He's doing the point of view cameras. He's doing the voiceovers. He's trying to splice it all in a meaningful way. And that's a lot of work. I think people forget that.
It is a lot of work. And we tend to try to do also behind the scenes stuff. So like explaining what we do. So like with Mississippi Speed Record, we have a series of behind the scenes on YouTube as well. So not only are we filming them, we're filming us filming them.
That's kind of meta.
Yeah, it never ends. And next we're going to do a behind the scenes video about the behind the scenes video.
Well, I love what you're doing, and one of the reasons is because you are informing people about the wilderness and the power of the wilderness and achieving things in the wilderness and doing the hard thing and being raw enough about it so people can actually grow and find, there's deeper value here than just playing in the woods or paddling down a river, that sort of thing. Man, more power to you. Obviously, I like to promote connecting with nature and having adventures and doing the hard things. I've committed years of my life to this now, but you're doing it, and you're probably doing it in a much better way than I am, with all of the video and all the post-production work to draw the meaning out of the experience. So I want to applaud your effort. I know it's not easy, but I think it's very valuable.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's nice when people do recognize that, because like you said, most people don't understand how hard it really is. Like with filming Mississippi Speed Record, they barely slept, so we barely slept, Like it is extremely hard, and I just thank you. Yeah, it means a lot when people recognize that.
And then on the flip side of that, I also want to say, like, when you really believe in something and when you're super passionate about doing something, it kind of doesn't matter how hard it is. Like, you're just going to do it. Mm-hmm. You're going to find a way to do it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're just going to make it happen. And that's the path that we've been on.
That's how we are able to accomplish these things. Like Mississippi Speed Record, the first 3 days, I didn't sleep.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I couldn't sleep, because we could have taken the breaks, but it was because I was so into it and I wanted to make sure to capture it, because I was passionate about it. So I chose to not sleep to capture that stuff.
Amazing. And what you just said, Alex, about the difficulty of it doesn't really matter, because there's so much meaning and so much of, you're into it, you want to do it. That is a perfect example of a life well lived, actually. It's how do you find meaning in your life? You find something you're passionate about and you throw yourself at it.
Yeah.
That's one of the best ways to live a rich and full and joyful life.
Yep.
So, we're out of time, but how can people get more information about you?
Probably our social media channels, Wilderness Mindset, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We have a newsletter that you can sign up for on our website. We send that out about once a month, just giving updates about what we're working on. And then our website, wildernessmindset.com.
And then just follow along, because starting June 23rd, we're going to be starting another adventure documentary. So we'll be doing updates, and you can follow along with those updates and see where we're at, see where they're at. And
they've got channels too, Missouri River Speed Record on Facebook and Instagram, and they post a lot of really interesting stuff too.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for your time today, and I can't wait to dive into looking at some of your work on YouTube and through your documentary channels off your website. I mean, this is the stuff I love. So anyway, I can't wait to see more of it. Thank you very much for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank
it
you.
was nice.
It was fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and for all those people out there, I always say get out there and have some fun, and I absolutely mean it, but sometimes we need a little inspiration, and I think we just found a source for that. Go to Wilderness Mindset, and maybe you'll be inspired to get out there and have some fun.